Kurt, I wanted to begin with you. I mean, you played some iconic screen characters with some of the best names in film history, like Snake Plissken, Gabriel Cash, Stuntman Mike. When you read this script and you were like, Crunch Calhoun, were you like, sold, I gotta play this guy?
It was tough because it had to be something that fit his low-end status, but something he would choose for himself. And we talked about it a little bit, and whether he should be called Crunch. Remember remember those times where you say, well, would he be called Crunch here, or would he be called? And finally, you know, it's funny. You do something, after a while, you get used to hearing yourself be called Crunch. And it's, okay, it works. But that's actually an interesting question, because names of characters, I think, often are underappreciated. I think they're to an actor. I mean, I think it's a big part of who you're playing.
Well, identifies who this guy is.
Well, names are, you know, I go back to Shakespeare, and you know, names are clever, or they're not. I think Ayn Rand did a great job with clever names, you know, and I've always liked names that somehow say the opposite, or exactly, or indicative of the character.
Yeah. It's also interesting when you do have names that when you choose your own moniker, you know, I think there's this one scene where Uncle Paddy, played by Ken Welch, who's a phenomenal, talented Canadian actor, who calls him Dennis, which is his real name.
Right.
Don't call me Dennis. You know, and it's just one of those, because it's you know, it's even, you know, me. I was born Jonathan. I was called John. Then I was Johnny when I was younger, and you wear, it's like a hat. Mm-hmm. You know, your moniker can be your hat. You know.
Yeah. You mentioned some of the other cast.
Yes.
A great cast. Matt Dillion, obviously, in addition to yourself, Matt Dillion, Terrence Stamp. Tell me about putting the cast together, and for you, working with Matt Dillion and Terrence Stamp.
Well, just shortly, they were all great. I mean, I thought they all I was just impressed with his idea of casting, and every time he got somebody, I thought they fit the bill perfectly, and every day on the set, they brought what they were supposed to bring. So my hat was off to him, and that made it exciting for me to do.
Yeah, it was, I remember the scene. I was talking about the first scene between you and Jay Baruchel earlier, but the scene between Terrence and yourself was one of those kind of,
It's fun.
yeah, you know, a little bit fanboy moments for a guy like
Sure,
me. I'm like,
sure.
this is exceptional. And then and it was a particularly dramatic scene for the tone and timbre of the film. And I was always a little bit worried about it. I'm like, how's this gonna necessarily fit? And they both were colluding on the spot to kind of, and it just crackled. And you know, not to use such intangible words to describe, you know, it almost sounds like magical, but in many ways it is. It is. I often use the term alchemy to describe that relationship. You're not exactly sure how all the cast is going to work together. You can research, you can try hard, you can communicate what you would like. You have to hear what they want to bring, because you don't, you know, bring on talents like this without listening to them. It's not only disrespectful, it's stupid. So, you know, all of them across the board were just so rich with their talents and with their ideas, and very, very respectful of also what we needed to do. You know, filmmaking is always a challenge. You know, telling a story that makes sense and hits all the necessary marks, you know, requires, you know, discipline. Doing it in 20-odd days with 11-hour,
which is good. I think there's an advantage to that too. Yeah. There's an energy there too. When you got to move, there's an energy to what you're doing.